When people talk about great American speakers, a few people immediately come to mind, such as Abraham Lincoln and Franklin D. Roosevelt, and one of my favorites, Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King was born January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. He was a middle child with an elder sister and a younger brother. Even though he skipped 9th and 12th grade, at the age of 15, he went to college, then seminary, and a university as well. He was a very educated man. He was married in 1953 and had 4 children. He was a family man trying to make a better life for his kids' future as well as the community around him. His influence included Howard Truman, civil rights leader and educator. He was a classmate of King's father, so Martin Luther King got to visit with him often. Walter Fluker, who has studied Truman's writings, has stated in saying, "I don't think you'd get a Martin Luther King Jr. without a Howard Truman." Gandhi, nonviolent leader, was another big influence on King. King visited Gandhi's family in 1959. The trip affected King in a profound way, deepening his understanding of nonviolence resistance. King stated, "Since being in India, I am more convinced than ever before that the method of nonviolence resistance is the most potent weapon available to oppress people in their struggle for justice and human dignity." In a real sense, Gandhi's embodiment in his life certain universe principles that are inherited to the moral structure of the universe. These principles are as inescapable as the laws of gravitation. His March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963 was a total success, even though many were against it. The march had specific demands, such as an end to racial segregation in public schools, meaningful civil legislation, including a law prohibiting racial discrimination in employment, protection of civil rights workers from police brutality, a $2 minimum wage for all workers, and self-government for Washington, D.C., then governed by a congregational committee. The march was a success. More than 250,000 people of diverse ethnicities attended. King's "I Have a Dream" speech electrified the crowd. It is one of the finer speeches in the history of American literature. It was the largest gathering of protesters in Washington history and still inspires many today. His assassination on April 4th, 1968, at 6:01 p.m. He was shot by James Earl Ray on the second-floor balcony of the hotel and died after emergency surgery and was pronounced dead at 7:05 p.m. at St. Joseph's Hospital. The biographer who did King's autopsy revealed that even though King was only 39 years old, he had the heart of a 60-year-old, perhaps a result from 13 years of stress of civil rights movements. The assassination led to more than 100 cities having a wave of riots. His shooter pleaded guilty and didn't get the death sentence, but got 99 years in prison. Some even say it was a conspiracy, much like the one about John F. Kennedy and Lee Harvey Oswald's deaths. King's legacy was to secure progress on civil rights in the U.S. He is frequently referred to as a human rights icon today. His wife, who died in 2006, continued in his footsteps until her death. Even his children have gotten involved. On November 2nd, 1983, President Reagan signed a bill creating the federal holiday Martin Luther King Day. It was celebrated for the first time in all 50 states in 2000. His awards and recognitions come in many. He has at least 50 honorable degrees from colleges and universities throughout the U.S. and other places. He won the 1964 Nobel Peace Prize, along with many other awards. Martin Luther King was a remarkable person and an influence to many speakers today and back then. He has become an icon to many to follow, and in my opinion, will never be forgotten in history.